the StegoMonday Cup number 1. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing himself, currently teamless, currently looking for a team, and deserving to be on one. It is Solar. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the American Protoss player, finally playing his main race and picking Protoss for Virtus Pro. It is Astrea. And if you are in the chat, predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat, as this can go either way. I am going to be favoring Solar here, but just a slight favorite, as Astrea has been posing a threat to other big Zerg players over the past couple of weeks. We've seen Astrea take maps off of Dark and even almost series. We'll see how he compares to Solar, though. See if he does compare. Solar going for a hatch gas full force, like the unnatural natural. Is setting up. Likewise, Astrea going for a gate expand as well. We'll be settling in from here. Astrea being as annoying as possible, trying to force some inefficient mining. Getting a read on the build itself. And then we can settle in. When it comes to Solar and, I mean, his different styles and his different even... demeanor compared to Dark, for example, and Shin as well. Solar, he is more macro-oriented. When I think of aggressive Zerg players, I think of Dark, I think of Shin, I even think of DRG at times as well. Solar can go for all-ins, don't get me wrong. We have seen that in the past. We have seen him commit into, especially on this map, 3 base all-ins. But for the most part, Solar does often go into the mid-game, does take a more macro approach instead. Which is going to be, I feel like, a little bit more ideal for Astrea. It means Astrea, especially because he's a more unorthodox player, can get into his own build of choice and force his opponent to react to him instead of the other way around. Where, again, we've been casting a lot of Astrea versus Dark recently, where Dark would very often opt to go for an all-in, and Astrea would have to scout to respond, to respect, and to defend. This time a different approach, Astrea opening up Robo. It's going to be a Robo opener. This can lead into a Disruptor drop. That's more what I'm leaning towards. But it could also be a bit of a more fringe build. We could see like Fast Immortal into another extra gateway, into like 2 base Immortal all in. But for now, I'm leaning towards a Bay and Disruptors. But we'll see. We shall see. As Astrea, he does threaten the Shade. Dipping into the 3rd. So far, Solar is keeping up. And there's no extra gateways, there's no Forge, there's no Twilight Council, Robo's about to finish, and we should be throwing down that Bay. Going for the initial War Prism. War Prism is on the way. Overlord comes in for the Scout, does confirm, or will soon confirm the opener. Will soon confirm the tech. And there is no Bay with this. Okay, you have my attention. Going War Prism first. Sentry behind this. Adepts, they get eyes on the 3rd. Overlord's being hunted down. Immortal production has begun. It is going to be an Immortal based all-in. Okay, let's go. It's going to be Immortal production instead. Adepts are going to be trapped. They're going to try and shade away. One of them will go down. The other will be hunted down as well. I say that Prism does make it just in time. Forge for +1, a Twilight Council all on 2 bases. Very interesting. Okay. So I assumed it was going to be an Immortal based all-in, but based on these tech structures, it looks like Astrea is going to be expanding. What I mean by that is, it's going to take a while for a +1 and for a Charge or Glaives or Blink to really kick in. These upgrades, they take time. So the game will progress, and I would imagine that Astrea is going to expand, but we'll see. +1 has begun. Wait, is this Twilight Council only for Temple Archives? Is it going Immortal Archon? There's the gateway explosion. Yeah, I mean, it looks like... Okay. I was gonna say it looks like a slow load all in, but no, it's gonna be charge. Charge is being researched. So this is so weird. it's such an offbeat all in. Just because it's gonna take a while to really get going. Prism taking a lot of hits, does get away. Gateways are finishing up, getting to our warp ins. So on the one hand, this all in is gonna hit a little bit later. True, it is gonna hit later, but it's gonna hit like a truck. We're getting up to what, 4? Soon to be 5? 5 immortals? Like, it's gonna be insane. On top of that, we have 8 gates. So it's gonna be that 8 gate all in. 4th immortal has arrived. Prism did survive as well. Getting back to the main army. Okay, not a 5th immortal, just getting the observer first. +1 is going to finish up by the time the army gets across the map. Charge is going to be later, that is true, but, I mean, slow loads can still be quite effective. So here we go, the all-in is coming. Solar back at home at building up Roach Ravager. Did drone up to 42. Respectable drone count. Didn't over-drone. Lings, they threaten a counterattack. Astrea does have the full wall. And this is where force fields are going to be king. Force fields are going to be so important to try to slice up the army, but Ravagers are ready. Ravagers are prepared. The Ling Rambai does force the defensive warp in. Not much less across the map. Army poking forward. More zealots have arrived. Charge just finished. Solar keeping a cool head. So we'll just reinforcing with more Lings, more Roaches, more Ravagers. Okay, it's all or nothing for Astrea. Lings, once again, they hit the natural. Going for the production, going for the gateways. Now there's Zealots to defend. Decent force fields. 2 Ravagers go down. Not bad. There's, what, 4 left. And once again, more Roaches get looked down as well. Zealots, they trade well. The Immortals doing so much in the back line. More Zealots have arrived. And here come the reinforcements. Some of them getting caught out, though. And the Sentries, they're running out of energy. They're running out of force fields. Oh, does Astrea have enough? It looks like he barely might. Yeah, the Immortals are getting into the Ravagers. They're finally going down. Oh my god, the Zealots, they look down the Ravagers. They get surrounded. Boys are being pulled. They have to be, and GG gets called. It's just too much, and Astrea takes game number 1. Whew. GG. A very interesting all-in out of Astrea. Again, it's a bit of a later all-in, but does hit with 4 Immortals. That's insane. 4 Immortals, mass charge lots, of course, mass sentry. The force fields were brutal. So many Roaches and Ravagers were locked down, and Solar was picked apart. And with that, GG, well played. Solar, he cut workers, I want to say at a reasonable time. Like, he cut workers at 42. You could argue that because this all-in hits a little bit later, you could maybe argue that Solar could definitely drone a little bit harder as well. But at the same time, I imagine Solar doesn't often play against this. I imagine he doesn't often play against this kind of build, so knowing exactly how many workers and knowing when to cut and when to produce can be difficult to determine on the fly. Can be hard to really settle on. And now we're jumping into game number 2. Let's go. Let us go. I'd love Solar to pick up... Sorry, I'd love Liquid to pick up Solar if a laser moves onto Storm Gates. That'll be an interesting one. The problem is, I don't know if Team Liquid need another player. Considering how well they performed in WTL, and a laser he didn't play in the playoffs, if you recall. A laser he didn't play at all for Team Liquid in WTL. It was mainly Clem, Cure, and Skillus. Clem, Cure, Skillus, and Mana was kind of like the team captain. So, I don't know if they need another player. It would be cool, though. It would be really nice if Solar were to join them. Just to have a more well-rounded team. But I don't know if like the motivation or the incentive is there for them. We'll see, though. Would be cool. As we're getting into our next game and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Site Delta, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing himself, currently teamless, but determined to be on a team. Down in the series, though, can he bounce back and force the ace match? It is a Solar. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the American Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Virtus Pro. It is Astrea. You can tell I need that one player. True. Shout out to Skillus. Shout out to Nikita. Much love. Much love to Skillus. But most teams only need 3. They only need 3 players. But we'll see. Fingers crossed. Assuming there is another season of WTL. GG, what else can Zerg doing there? As I was mentioning before, I do think that Solar could have gotten away with just better saturation. Again, to facilitate for just a larger Roach army, a Roach Ravager army even. But that was just such an awkward build from Astrea. Like, I don't blame Solar for getting caught with his pants down there. Do not blame him. Meanwhile, once again, gate expand. So far, a standard opener here out of Astrea. But clearly, he's got builds, man. He's got builds. And that's what's so amazing about Astrea as well, is that he often does... He's often quite experimental. Does often explore other builds, some more efficient than others. Even that last one, for example, as well, is something that we do not often see. In fact, I haven't seen that at all. That can... Even like an Immortal 2-base all-in hasn't really been, I think, in the meta for a very, very long time. And we'll see if Solo can get a read on what Astrea is up to next time, here in Game 2. Overlord dips in. Solo going to be joining up. My pants are never on. You're an animal. Hi. Yeah. You can't get caught with your pants down if they're never on, Pappy. They're never on. True. Take them off. As a third base is on the way. But yeah, that is why often teams do have at least 3 players, again, to compete in WTL. That's why Vitality, for example, they had Solar, Ryung, and Maru. They had their trio, their 3. Upon losing Solar, though, and especially if there is another season of WTL, I would imagine Vitality will go for another player. I imagine they will pick up someone else to fill up that roster. Meanwhile, the Creep Tumor is denied. Behind this, Astrea going for a Void Ray opener. Interesting. Void Ray first. Into a third. So no kind of crazy 2-base all-in, but with this Void Ray opener, Astrea is going to be able to hunt down the Overlords and keep Solar in the dark. And after what just happened in Game 1, Solar, I'm sure, is going to be very paranoid as to what Astrea is up to. Again, this Void Ray can lead into a second Stargate, into a Fleet Beacon, into like a Tempest Rush, a Carrier Rush. It can lead into Twilight Council into Glaive of Depths, or it can just lead into a standard game. The power of the Void Ray is just keeping Solar in the dark, allowing Astrea to kind of move around more freely here with his tech. Things they get eyes on the third. Astrea does defend. Behind this, Solar joining up. He's going to be saturating. He's going to be an Oracle behind this. And Astrea has yet to commit to any sort of tech. There we go. Forge and Twilight Council. +1 and Blink or Charge. Third base is about to finish. Astrea is settling in. Oracle hits the third. Queens are ready. Queens are in position. Solar does defend. So far, so good. Void Ray pokes in, but is denied. Solar going for a safety Roach Warren timing just under the 5-minute mark. Gases are being taken. And I'm more curious about the tech of choice here. Is it going to be Charge? Twilight Council is done. And he Yeah, it is going to be +1 in charge. So there is going to be a timing. There is going to be a window with these upgrades finishing up. We'll see if Astrea makes use of it. Temple Archives on the way for the Archons. And thankfully, Solar does have that Roach Warren. So he will have Roach Ravager to work with. He won't be caught out with purely Ling Hydra. We have seen Zerg players just topple over if they're a little bit too greedy. And we will have more of a back and forth. Stasis does catch the Queen. Not bad. Meanwhile, the Ling Rumbai did spot the Zealots. That is a tell. There's no reason for Zealots to be out here at this time. So Solar, he's seen enough to determine the Roach production. Or to determine the Zealot army to get into Roach production. So Roaches are on the way. +1 range as well. Solar is aware. Joining up to 3 bases, getting up to 68 workers. And you can see Solar is now focusing on Ling Roach production. He will have an army in time for Astrea's move out. Yeah, with his Lings. Again, Solar playing very safe. Still making more Roaches. Means they get eyes on the army. Solar is still building up. Again, this time he has drawn up quite nicely. He isn't undersaturated like he was in the last game. Now transferring over, saturating his 4th. But you can see that he's still not droned up, still stuck at 68. Really respecting the timing here of Astrea. And Solar, he's going to have a lot of Roaches. Oh, flush transfuse. Solar saving the workers, let's go. Saves his drones, maybe loses 1. And Solar, he's on the cusp of maxing out, getting up to 170 supply. And here we go, here comes the push. He's maxing out on Roach Ravager. Meanwhile, Astrea is moving out, no Immortal production. It's going to be Chargel Archon. He can deny the 4th base, but can he protect his 3rd? The Immortal! The Immortal gets caught out. Is within range of the shield battery. We'll keep it alive. Oh, and we will embrace the base trade. Immortal goes down, massive pickoff. Immortal does fall. Hatchery falls as well. Astrea turns back around. And Solar, he's going for the 3rd. He's going for the kill. Overcharge gets spent, gets wasted. Doesn't support the army. Astrea, he's out of position. And the 3rd base is going to fall. And from here, Solar, he can just back off or he can just keep going. He has options. Army does race back home. Solar, he can't fight this. Cutting against Zealots. Zealots are coming in for the surround though. Uh-oh. Solar, has he overextended? The surround comes in. The Ravagers go down. And Astrea, he catches out the army. He saves the base. He saves the expansion. He's still on 57 probes. Solar bleeding out far too much. Again, the Zealot surround was brutal. And with that, Astrea, he holds. And here the soup does lie. Solar, he might be up 30 army supply, but that doesn't matter. It's Roaches. It is an inefficient army. Astrea, he's holding his own. He preserves the Immortals, the Archons. More High Templar morphing in. Storm is done. Can I miss all that? Astrea losing 12 probes. Does still maintain his economy. Solar is remaxing. Astrea coming in with the run by. Distracting the main army, bringing Solar back home. Buying time. Yeah, Astrea just buying time to build up more Immortals. 2nd Robo's on the way. Immortal production well underway as well. For Astrea, getting a 4th. The 4th is going to be quite exposed. It's going to be quite vulnerable. But Solar is getting ready for his 2nd attack, for his 2nd wave. Again, he's at 200 supply. He's maxed out. That is a lot of Storm, but Storm, that's not ideal against Roaches. First Storm does connect. Not bad. Does soften them up. There's how many High Templar behind this? There's 8. 8 High Templar. Roach is diving in. Storm's getting thrown down. Solar, he wants High Templar. He wants them. He goes for the dive. He takes so many storms to the face, though. Oh my god. Yeah, the storms are brutal. Once again, Astrea will hold, but it will cost him all his High Templar. Does save 4 of them, morphing them into Archons. There's a lot of High Templar going down. Runbite does come in, but there are Roach reinforcements. Solar defense. Solar, he does defend. At the same time, warping into the main. Roach is also in position. Solar, he's everywhere. It's in the main. Outside the natural. Oh, but else, finally they find damage here at the 4th. And drones are going down. A couple of worker kills. Astrea, the other important thing here is that he did save the expansion. Nexus is still up. He's getting back into his immortal production. And once again, even though Solar is maxed, Astrea has the more efficient army. We saw Astrea hold against a 200 supply army before. He can do it again. Does avoid the piles. Storms are coming in. Massive storm on the roaches. Us once again, they get into the mineral line. They don't quite get the queen. Almost. Distracting Solar. Storm once again zoning. And time is working against Solar. The longer this goes on, the worse it becomes for him. As Astrea, he's catching up in supply. Solar pre-splitting, pushing up. Heading towards that 4th. Another storm going to be connecting the High Templar. They're so exposed. But they barely do survive. Oh my god, another massive storm. There's 2 High Templar left. 2 storms. Oh, Clouds, they do graze the army. Storm once again connects. Here come the Zealot reinforcements and Astrea. He holds for a 3rd time. And he's done it. He's snowballing out of control. He breaks the main army and he can soon counterattack. That's a lot of immortals. And Solar's in trouble. Solar, he's in a lot of trouble. He's down in workers. He's down in economy. He's down in tech. +2 range has just begun. Solar, he never intended for the game to go on this long. He was supposed to kill Astrea like 5 minutes ago. Solar, he's been maxing out, but again, it's just been a subpar army. Astrea, he's got +3 compared to the +1 of these roaches. And outside of Astrea overextending, outside of him taking a bad fight, Astrea should be able to take this. Solar, he's getting ready for, what is this, round 3? Round 4? He's pushing in once again. Into a surround. Oh my god. Storm kicks in. The concave is brutal. Oh my god, the storms are insane. And Solar, he just can't gain any ground. For the first time in a long time, Astrea takes the supply lead. That's a terrifying sight here for Zerg. Trying to knock down those rocks, trying to head towards the 4th base. But alas, plenty of storms are ready for this. Solar tries to hook in. Another storm connects, and another! Oh my god, the storms, they just keep going! The storms, they rain down on the army, and they just keep coming. They don't stop. So many High Templar, so many storms. 9 High Templar in total. GG gets called, and Astrea will take the series 2-0, will advance on into the semifinals. GG. GG, well played, congratulations. Astrea will take the series again. Solar, he was hyper all in. It was all or nothing for Solar. He maxed out like 3 different times with roaches, but over the course of the game, as time went on, it was getting worse and worse for Solar. His attacks were becoming less impactful. Astrea was trading very efficiently, again with Immortal Archon High Templar, with Storm. A very efficient army. It's small, it's a little bit fragile, but was able to hold its own. And GG, well played. Astrea did snowball out of control, does take it, does advance on. My condolences to Solar. Solar, especially right now, it's really important for him to perform well. Solar is currently teamless. He didn't end up leaving Team Vitality. He's an amazing player, but Astrea, he was on fire here tonight. Game 1 was wild. I don't want to put too much stock in Game 1 because it was just a really weird build. It's very unorthodox. For those who weren't here for it, Astrea, he went for a 2-base Immortal All-In, but a very delayed Immortal All-In, and Solar, he was just having a really hard time reading what was going on, and he was caught out. In game 2, it was more back and forth. Solar was able to max out, and it looked like Solar was going to break the third, if you remember, when there was a base trade. When Astrea was across the map and Solar, he snuck in on the third base, he got a free immortal, and then he got surrounded. Then he got surrounded by Zealots, and things went from bad to worse there for Solar. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Astrea. And with that, we are getting ready for the semifinals. Somewhat. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. The bracket is live. The bracket has been progressing. And let's try to catch up. From the top, though. There we go. From the top, we do have Astrea. Astrea, of course, in the semifinals. He's waiting for the winner of Björn and Shameless. They are mid-series in a TVP. Björn is going to be the favorite player. Best of luck, because they just got out of game. Oh, they just got out of game.